Every workplace has its queen bee. The one with the sharp tongue, perfect hair, and just enough wit to get away with cruelty dressed as comedy. At Bexley and Vart, her name was Becky. She was stunning. Blonde waves always bouncing, lipstick sharp, voice sharper. Her jokes lit up the office as long as you weren't the punchline. Which brings us to Mike. Mike was the kind of man you'd forget at first glance. Tall, a little hunched, shirts always ironed but 10 years out of style. And his hair, or what was left of it, had surrendered to a slow, quiet battle with alopecia, an autoimmune disease, one no one saw, except when they laughed at the results. Becky called him shiny. Once left a bottle of shampoo on his desk labeled for decorative purposes only. No one told her to stop. She always laughed just enough to make it seem harmless. And Mike, he always smiled, just enough to survive the day. One Thursday morning, Becky and Mike were sent to present a campaign pitch to a major client. It was her idea. He built the deck. They rehearsed all week. The meeting? It went cold, fast. The client rejected them, politely but firmly. "You know what that was?" she hissed, throwing her bag down. "It wasn't the slides. It was you." He blinked. "The guy looked at you like you were contagious. Like who sends that to impress a top-tier brand?" He didn't answer. She leaned closer, voice low but sharp. "You're dragging the whole team down, Mike. Your look, your energy, your whole vibe." She walked away. He stood there, still holding the prototype folder, as if someone might still ask to see it. That night, Becky drafted an email. She didn't send it. Not yet. The next morning, she brought him a muffin. Blueberry. Warm. "Sorry for snapping," she said. "You didn't deserve that." He nodded. And everything changed. She brought him tea the next day. Lemon. His favorite, though he never told her. A protein bar the day after that. Then a message on Slack. "Want to walk a lap around the block? Feels like one of those get some air days." Mike hesitated, then typed, "Sure." The first walk was quiet. She asked about his watch. He said nothing, just smiled. The second walk, she asked about his mother. He told her how she was in assisted living, how his dad died early, how he lived alone, no pets, no siblings, no photos on his desk. She didn't laugh, didn't mock. She listened. "You're kind of deep, Mike. I get why you don't say much. You're not boring, you're just edited." He laughed, softly, almost like he hadn't been holding it in for years. Weeks passed. She brought him books, real ones, not clickbait productivity junk. She asked his opinion in meetings, sat next to him at lunch, defended him even. Mike's ideas cut through the noise. "That's what happens when you don't waste energy styling your hair, right?" She winked. He chuckled. And for the first time in years, Mike felt visible. Not as a project, not as a charity case, as a man. One Friday, the office emptied early. Only 2 desks still lit, Mike's and hers. She stood by the window, holding tea, silhouetted against the city lights. "You know something? You're not what people say you are." He looked up. She held his gaze. "You're better." Mike didn't answer. But that night, he ironed a shirt for the first time in months, polished his shoes, cleaned his glasses with care, typed a new line in his bio. Creative strategist, storyteller. The next morning when she messaged, "Can you help me carry a box down to archives?" He said, "Sure, happy to." Monday morning, 9:42 a.m. Human Resources received a flagged email marked confidential. Subject, workplace conduct concern. From Rebecca Halsey. "I'd like to report a recent uncomfortable interaction involving Mike Daniels. There was physical contact in the elevator that made me feel unsafe. There were no witnesses, no footage. At least she assumed so. The elevator was old. Everyone knew the cameras hadn't worked in years. She had crafted the moment perfectly." At 11:17 a.m., a woman from HR approached Mike's desk. "Hi, Mike. Can we speak to you privately?" He smiled, still thinking about their walk. He didn't know yet that the woman he thought had seen him had just made him disappear. Mike thought he was being called in to talk about a client pitch. Instead, he found 2 women waiting. Dana, head of HR, and a lawyer he didn't recognize, dressed in charcoal gray. They weren't angry, they were calm, collected. "Mike," Dana said, "we've received a report regarding inappropriate behavior from your colleague Rebecca Halsey." Mike blinked. The room shifted under his feet. "She alleges that during a shared elevator ride Friday evening, you made unwanted physical contact." He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Dana handed him a printed statement. It described him: predatory, invasive, unwelcome, frightening, physically close. He read it 3 times, each word more absurd than the last. I didn't," he stammered, but there was no breath left in him. "She didn't want him to get in trouble," she said to a junior HR rep. "Maybe he didn't mean it, but I was scared, and I can't let it go." She looked down at her lap, clutching a tissue, voice trembling, tears balanced perfectly in her lashes. It was an act she had practiced in the mirror, twice. What Becky didn't know was that IT had just finished their latest software upgrade, and part of that upgrade included reactivating the old elevator cameras, all elevators, including Elevator B. Friday night, 7:41 p.m. Mike stood in the back corner, backpack over one shoulder, eyes down. Becky entered, smiling. She leaned toward him, spoke. No audio. She touched his arm. Mike flinched, stepped slightly away, hands in pockets. Doors opened. Mike exited. 3 seconds later, Becky followed. That was it. Dana watched the footage twice. The lawyer watched it 4 times. No dialogue needed. The story was clear. They invited Becky back in. She entered confidently, not smug, just composed, ready for sympathy, ready for validation. "Rebecca," Dana asked, "are you sure you'd like to maintain your original statement?" Becky hesitated, just long enough to betray herself. I didn't know the elevator had a camera," she muttered. Silence. "I didn't mean to ruin his life or anything. I just felt weird. I didn't know how else to—" Dana cut in. "Rebecca, you submitted a false report, and you did so knowing it would directly endanger a colleague's career. We've also reviewed past hallway security footage, the times you left notes on Mike's desk, the gifts, the birthday stunt." Becky paled. The next morning, an email was sent to all staff. Mandatory all-hands meeting, Friday, 10 a.m. Location, main conference hall. No agenda, no subject line. Just one final note. This meeting will include a disciplinary demonstration. Attendance required. At 9:58, the room was full. People murmured. Rumors circled. But when they entered the conference hall and saw the stage, silence fell like a stone. On stage, a single chair, a full-length mirror, and a cordless hair clipper, freshly charged. Becky sat alone on the stage, facing a full-length mirror. No spotlight, no music, just silence and the weight of judgment. Her golden curls framed her face like a crown about to fall. He placed the clipper gently into her trembling hands. She froze, fingers gripping the device like it might burn her. She looked down, then looked up, desperately scanning the audience, searching for a way out. "Please," she choked, voice cracking. "I'm sorry. I didn't think it would go this far." Her voice echoed in the stillness. "I just wanted to teach him a lesson. I didn't know this would happen." Tears began to fall. Not pretty ones, not controlled. She turned to Dana, then to the crowd. "Please don't make me do this, not in front of everyone." She was shaking now. "I have parents, a younger sister. This is going to ruin me. I know I messed up, I know, but this is too much." She clutched the clippers like a confession. Eyes red, mascara streaked. "Mike," she gasped, searching the crowd for him. "If you're out there, please say something. I never meant for you to lose your job. I was angry. I was jealous. She couldn't finish. Her breath came in broken gasps. No one answered. Not Dana, not HR, not Mike. The punishment didn't come from vengeance. It came from truth. and truth, at last, had the floor. With shaking hands, Becky lifted the clippers and pressed them to the back of her head. One stroke, then another. Blonde strands slid down her shoulders like fallen petals, her image in the mirror shattering strand by strand. She cried openly now, not the tears of manipulation, but the cry of someone who could no longer lie, even to herself. When it was over, she didn't move right away. She sat there, hands in her lap, head bowed. Then finally, slowly, she stood. No final speech, no final smile. She left the room, and the company, and whatever mask she had worn until that day. Mike returned to work on Monday. Same desk, same clock, same coffee mug. Some greeted him with quiet nods, others avoided eye contact. He didn't gloat. He didn't speak of Becky. He simply logged in and kept working. That afternoon, a single cupcake was left on his desk. No note, no fanfare, just a quiet gesture. He looked at it, paused, then smiled, gently, truthfully, and finally, peacefully. Hair grows back, but trust does not.